was a night when millions were glued to their screens. The cameras were rolling, the crowd was restless, and the nation was divided. Two of America's most polarizing figures stood on opposite ends of history. One, a former president known for his calm precision, and the other, a man defined by his bombastic confidence. No one knew what was about to unfold, but when the moment came, it cut deeper than anyone expected. Barack Obama, measured yet unrelenting, delivered a single line that didn't just silence Donald Trump, it sent shockwaves across the country. This wasn't just politics, it was history in motion. The rivalry between Barack Obama and Donald Trump had been brewing for years. Long before Trump entered the White House, he had built much of his political persona by questioning Obama's very legitimacy, fanning the flames of the so-called birther movement. To Obama's supporters, it was more than political theater. It was an attack rooted in racial undertones, designed to undermine the first black president's place in history. For years, Obama chose restraint. He carried himself with a quiet dignity, refusing to engage in Trump's escalating taunts. But tension built beneath the surface. Trump's rise to political power was, in many ways, fueled by those early attacks, making Obama not just a predecessor, but a target. By the time both men shared the same stage again, the stakes had never been higher. The nation was fractured, bitterly divided between two competing visions of America. Trump's fiery rhetoric energized millions, while Obama's steady voice of reason continued to resonate with those desperate for stability. The stage was set. Viewers at home didn't just tune in for policy, they tuned in for the clash. The cameras zoomed in, every gesture magnified, every pause analyzed. When Obama finally decided to break his silence and respond to Trump, not with anger but with a surgical strike of words, the moment became one that no one could forget. The crowd leaned in, sensing a storm brewing. Political analysts had speculated for weeks whether Obama would address Trump directly. Would he keep it diplomatic? Would he sidestep the brewing animosity? Or would he finally hit back? Trump, never one to fade into the background, had spent the early part of the event commanding the spotlight. He interrupted, gestured dramatically, and made his usual brand of bold claims. Supporters in the audience cheered, while critics rolled their eyes. To many, it felt like a repeat of the chaos that had come to define his political style. But then came Obama's turn. He approached the podium with his characteristic composure, his movements deliberate, his tone even. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't wave his hands. Instead, he spoke with the measured cadence of someone who had mastered the art of timing. Every word he spoke laid the groundwork, calm observations about leadership, truth, and the responsibility of those in power. His words weren't directed at Trump immediately, but they carried an unmistakable weight, and the audience knew exactly who he was referring to. The tension thickened. Trump shifted in his seat, visibly irritated. Cameras caught every reaction, the tightening jaw, the narrowed eyes, the forced smirk. The contrast between the two men couldn't have been sharper. One represented chaos, the other discipline. And then, just as the nation leaned forward, Obama dropped the line. It was sharp, it was cutting, and it was impossible to ignore. In one sentence, he dismantled Trump's years of bluster and left him without a comeback. The audience erupted, some in laughter, others in shock. Social media lit up instantly, with clips spreading like wildfire across platforms. Memes were created within minutes, headlines written before the event even ended. What Obama had done wasn't just a political jab, it was a cultural moment. It was the kind of moment people would remember long after the applause faded. For a man like Trump, silence was unthinkable. But after Obama's remark, the silence was deafening. Cameras zoomed in on his face, capturing a rare moment when words failed him. For once, the master of insults had been left without a retort. The crowd's reaction only amplified the sting. Gasps, laughter, and thunderous applause filled the room. Even some who had come expecting a typical political exchange were stunned at the precision of Obama's delivery. It wasn't loud, it wasn't drawn out. It was a single blow, delivered with surgical accuracy, and it landed harder than 1,000 insults ever could. This was the climax the audience hadn't realized. They were waiting for the quiet dismantling of a man who thrived on disruption, by a leader who thrived on control. Obama didn't need to shout. He didn't need to repeat himself. His words carried enough weight to echo far beyond the stage. For Trump, the humiliation wasn't just in being silenced. It was in knowing that this moment, captured live, replayed, endlessly shared across the globe, would become part of the legacy he could never control. As the event wound down, it was clear that the night belonged not to chaos, but to composure. Obama's one-liner became more than just a witty remark. It became a symbol of something larger. It was a reminder that truth, delivered with precision, can cut deeper than noise. Commentators dissected it for days. Supporters celebrated it as vindication after years of baseless attacks on Obama's legitimacy. Critics admitted, even grudgingly, that the line was unforgettable. And for many ordinary Americans, it was a reminder of the power of words to shape history. In the weeks that followed, the moment continued to reverberate. On late-night shows, in classrooms, in conversations across dinner tables, people referenced Obama's clapback as a turning point in political theater. It wasn't just about one man humiliating another. It was about the resilience of dignity in the face of division. The story of that night is still retold, not because of the politics alone, but because it captured something timeless. It showed that when faced with relentless noise, sometimes all it takes is one perfectly timed sentence to reveal the truth. And so, the question lingers. In an age where outrage often drowns out reason, will future leaders learn the value of restraint, timing, and precision? Or will moments like this remain rare flashes of brilliance in a landscape dominated by chaos? As history shows, one line can change everything. And on that night, Barack Obama proved it.